Good morning and a very warm welcome to today's Music Export webinar under the motto of Around the World. My name is Rianne Leuning and I work for Advantage Austria, the Austrian trade promotion organization. Advantage Austria has about 100 offices in around 70 countries and provides a broad range of business development services for both Austrian companies and their international business partners. Within Advantage Austria, I am responsible for creative industries export, and music is a central element of the Austrian creative sector. And thus we also have a very strong focus on music export. For all our activities in the field of music, we collaborate with the colleagues of Austrian Music Export a lot. So I'm also really happy to have Franz Hergovich and Tatiana Domani with us today. Before I hand over to them, let me give you a brief introduction to what we can do for you being active in the music industry. First of all, we have been organizing Austrian group presentations at leading music trade fairs such as WOMEX, the World Music Expo, and also Jazz Ahead for many years already. Talking about Jazz Ahead, we will organize a virtual booth and a whole range of networking sessions together with Austrian Music Export at the upcoming Jazz Ahead, which will start in exactly 3 weeks' time. And as we are talking about India today, I would also like to mention that we are already quite active in the film industry as well. And we have a very strong and good collaboration between the Austrian and the Indian film industry. And we organized quite some incoming missions of Indian film producers to Austria in the past. And actually, we also already had quite some Indian movies that have been shot here. We also put a strong focus on knowledge transfer, which means that we want to offer support when it comes to gaining insights in the music industry in relevant global markets. To facilitate this, we organize webinars, such as the one you are watching today, and also conference sessions, lectures, etc. We also offer a lot of individual support and consulting services, also through our network of trade commissions and foreign offices. And we also have an extensive funding program called Go International, where you can apply for funding if you want to export to countries where you haven't been active so far. And you can always contact us if you have any questions about that. I hope I haven't forgotten anything, and I think this is the perfect moment to hand over to Franz and Tatiana. And thank you for the great collaboration, and it's very nice to work together with you. So welcome.
Thank you, Rianne. Likewise, it's really a pleasure. And I also have to thank you for the cooperation. Hello, everyone. My name is Franz. I work for Austrian Music Export, and I'm very much looking forward to this webinar. In 2018, I already had the chance to visit India. I have been invited to an event called Ears on Mumbai. And the local organizer, Andre, is one of our speakers today. And I think also Yanni, who the founder of Ears on Asia and Ears on Mumbai, he's with us as a participant of the webinar. So hi, Yanni, if you see me. It was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I've realized that there's a fantastically rich culture in India, and it's a country full of opportunities, and I think also full of opportunities for the Austrian musicians and the music business. So I was very excited afterwards, and we started working on exchange projects. So, for instance, we invited Andre over to Waves Vienna, our local showcase event, in 2019, and we're already thinking about organizing a focus on India. But then there was the pandemic, and there was a little bit of a delay. But I think this is now a great next step to work on our future collaborations. One more thing I want to mention, as an export office, one of our main tasks is also to provide information on Austrian music and the Austrian music markets. So if you want to know anything about Austrian musicians or get in touch with people from the business or the musicians directly, please go to musicexport.at, or best you get in touch with us directly, meaning me or my colleague Tatjana.
Yes, hello, also a warm welcome from my side, and good morning to the Austrian participants in Austria. As Franz said, we have been active as an export office for around 10 years by now. We mostly focused on the European market and on the live market. But now that we are all forced to stay at home, we had to find new ways to connect with international markets in the last year. And we decided together with Rian to focus on new markets, and especially on those that show a very strong digital growth. This is the third webinar in our series. We already visited Mexico and South Africa, and now it's the first time for us to come to Asia. We will also do a webinar on South Korea next. And for us, it's very exciting to have the opportunity to have really high-class speakers who share the knowledge with us and the participants. And I'm very happy if we can find new ways to connect the Austrian music scene and the Indian participants also after this webinar in person. So just let us know if you're particularly interested in networking opportunities or talking to some of the speakers directly. So thanks again for joining us. And now I'm heading back to Rian, who will introduce the local office in New Delhi.
Thank you very much, Tatjana and Franz. Yes, as Tatjana said, now it is time to travel to India and get to know our speakers and our colleagues in the New Delhi office. Let me now hand over to Robert Luke, who is the Austrian Trade Commissioner for India, and he will tell us a bit more about what they are doing. Welcome, Robert.
Good morning, Rianne, and good afternoon here in India. My name is Robert Luck. I'm the Austrian Trade Commissioner here in New Delhi. We have regional offices in Mumbai and Bangalore, and we have an interesting scope of countries to take care of. Apart from incredible India, we are also in charge for Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, the Maldives, and Bhutan. We are doing business with 700 Austrian companies, if I may say so, all the Austrian Trade Commission here in Delhi. There are 150 subsidiaries, Austrian subsidiaries in India. But mostly, of course, as you might imagine, we are dealing with machinery, equipment, health, e-commerce, and many, many other things. And then even very excited today to welcome the creative sector. That is always interesting, and it really makes a difference. It's nice to have creative people with us today. I can tell you without further ado, you can look forward to a very exciting webinar. I don't want to reveal too much, but you're going to have exciting speakers. You're going to see some exciting video clips. India is amazing, not in many aspects, but most probably and with great certainty also in the creative industry. I wish you a very exciting event, and before I hand over, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague Poonam Negi. She will explain to you in further detail what is coming up. Have fun, and I see you at the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Luke. Good morning to all our listeners joining us today. A very warm welcome from my side. My name is Poonam Negi. I'm the project manager at Advantage Austria, New Delhi. Before we proceed, let me give you an overview of our agenda. Today, we have 3 speakers from Indian music industry. First, we have Mr. Sohail Arora from KRUNK. Secondly, we have Ms. Soumini Sridhara Paul from Hungama Digital Media and Entertainment. Our third speaker is Mr. Andre Tully from Nothing Regular Media Entertainment Agency. After all the presentation, we are going to have a Q&A session. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. And before I hand over the stage, I would like to give a brief introduction about the music in India. India is diverse in its culture, language, and religion. And Indian music reflects this diversity very effectively. Music is varied, complex, as well as is deeply connected with the culture. Now, we will have a look at the different types of music in India. It can broadly be categorized into three types: classical music, folk music, and popular music. Within the classical music, we have two streams: Carnatic classical music, which is from the southern part of the country, and Hindustani classical music is from the northern region of India. And both these streams have vocal and instrumental music. Talking about the folk music, it can be seen as a regional folk music which comes from all states of India and in its regional languages. Then we have a religious and Sufi music. It is also different from all over the country. For example, in central India, we have Kabir Bhajan, or in eastern India, we have Kirtan and Baul. Talking about the popular music in India, it is quite varied, ranging from film music, from Bollywood movies, which are based in Hindi language, Kollywood in Tamil language, and Tollywood is in Telugu language. Then we have a dance music, which is mostly associated with Hindi music, and currently Punjabi pop music. Commercially, this is one of the most important segment of music in India. Then we have other genres such as Indian pop, jazz, rock, trance, and mixture of these. And they have their own following. Next, we will have a look at some facts about India to keep things in perspective. India is the home for 1.4 billion people. India is the world's fifth largest economy and also one of the fastest growing. India has the largest youth in the world, which is driving the digital media consumption in India. The average internet user spends about 21 odd hours listening to music weekly, whereas the global average is 17.8 per hours. In India, the business language is English, which is culturally more suitable for international companies. And many international artists have been performing in India. In the recent past, we had Coldplay, Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran, Shakira, and many more names. So now, with this perspective, let's move to our speakers. I would like to invite our first speaker, Sohail Arora. He is the founder and managing partner at KRUNK. He's going to talk about the live music in India. Welcome, Sohail. Stage is all yours.
Thank you, Poonam. Thank you for having me. My name is Sohail. I am the founder and director of KRUNK. We are a 12-year-old artist management, events, and booking agency based out of Bombay, India. And we also curate a festival called Echoes of Earth, which is now in its 5th year. I am, through this presentation, gonna run you more on the indie side of things. I've been working more with independent music and have closely worked with independent music in India for almost 15 years. I'm gonna run you through first what we are, what we do, and if you have any questions at the end, you can write to us on the chat. So KRUNK started in 2009 as a booking agency. We have done over 2,500 plus successful events all across the country. And we have also represented a lot of Indian artists, independent artists in the electronic and live music space for the last 12 years. This is a pandemic project. When we were locked down, we decided to start our record label last year. We have released 3 compilations so far in the Flavor of the East series, where we're featuring Indian music in the electronic space on a global level through our label. We've, in a short span of time, been listed by DJ Mag as the labels to watch for in 2021, as well as Mix Mag Asia. A little bit about me. I started as a booker and a curator for an iconic music venue in Bombay in 2007 called Blue Frog. Anyone who's been to India in the last 10 years knows about Blue Frog. It was definitely a game changer in the music space. I am also the director of Basecamp Festival, which is a festival that we have been doing for the last 9 years. It's an electronic music festival. And I curate for a festival called Echoes of Earth, as mentioned before. I'll get into details about that in the next slide. Yeah, so I've been in the industry for a long time, almost 15 years. I am also a DJ and a musician myself. And yeah, the pandemic has been positive in the way where we've had time to really look within ourselves and be creative again. We have managed artists like Delhi Sultanate, who is one of the biggest reggae artists India ever produced. Dualist Inquiry in the past, Sand Dunes, who's toured with Bonobo globally. We continue to manage artists like Madboy Mink, Malfunction, Ocean Tide, Anushka, and many more. If you go to krunklive.com, you can see all the work we've done and all the artists we work with closely. Basecamp Festival is now it takes place in 10 different cities. It's an electronic music festival. It's a club festival that travels to 10 cities every year. And it's currently going to be the 10th year whenever we get to do it next. As of now, we are going ahead with plans for November 2021. KRUNK is a booking agency for a lot of European artists. We've booked over 200 plus tours in the last 12 years. You may know some of these names. FKJ, of course, Shigeto, Sushila Raman, Romar, Jordan Rekha, Isa Motion Orchestra, a lot of bass music, a lot of techno, a lot of house, a lot of live music, and a lot of mostly upcoming indie acts as well, of all kinds. We mainly focus in the rock, pop, jazz, electronic, most indie spaces, and we're not restricted to any particular genre. Super Dry KRUNK Live Sessions, we did a TV show with MTV India in 2016, where we created a studio performance, sort of like, KEXP or Tiny Desk Concert sort of scenario, but with a visual aspect to it, where we had collaborated with different visual artists to create scenes and to create spaces where we basically could shoot these live audio streams and video streams. And yeah, we plan to do a season 2 whenever things are better. Echoes of Earth, that's the other festival that we curate. It's a festival in Bangalore now in its 5th year. It's India's first ecologically conscious festival. We have a lot of amazing installation art at the festival, which is deeply inspired by different themes every year. For example, last year's theme was endangered species of animals and plants. And so all the installations were based on that. We partnered with Nat Geo for that last edition. So every year we change the theme. The focus is a lot on live music at the festival. Main stages and are basically curated towards live. We also have a very heavy house and techno sort of presence at the festival. And the festival, as of now, will go ahead in 2021. We have just started working on how we can make it happen this year. So if anyone's keen, we've had one Austrian act before called Manu Delago and his trio. We are in talks with a few this year as well. So yeah, if you're a musician and want to hit us up, KRUNK has a really loyal community. We basically work in major cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Kolkata, Jaipur, Chandigarh, Goa, and Pune. If you're an electronic musician, there is a much bigger circuit in India for you to tour and travel with. There are a lot of cities that do electronic music. With the live music scene, you can tour around India in 4 to 6 cities easily at the club level. And the festival season in India, this is an important differentiation between India and rest of the countries in Europe, is that our festival season starts in October and goes on till March, April. So if you are a band and is looking to do some festival shows as well, then that would be a good time to look at touring India. These are some of the brands we've worked with in the past. Most liquor brands, lifestyle brands, Adidas. We work closely with Reebok. We've done a lot of stuff with Puma and Superdry, as well as Diesel. We've worked with a lot of cultural institutes. We've closely worked with the Norwegians, the French, the British, Goethe, and hopefully now we can start working with Austria as well. Festivals. These are some of our international partners. Dimensions in the past, Outlook, Base Coast. We are currently partnering with Base Coast for an exchange. Great Escape, we've had showcases at the festival. Modern Sky, we were invited there as well. Yanni, hello, if you're there. Mela, we've done a bunch of exchanges with Mela as well, where we focused on taking international artists from these countries and bringing them to India, as well as taking Indian artists to certain countries on a regular. This is all pre-pandemic. Things are on hold right now. But yeah, we hope to get back to touring and exchanges really soon. Some of the venues that we worked with in the country and we regularly work with in different cities. You can have a look at that. This is our artist roster. If you're keen to know who we represent, you can have a look on our website as well. Again, this is something if you want to do some research on what we've done. Thank you. And I will now hand over to Poonam. And if you guys have any questions in the chat, please feel free to. Yeah, thank you.
here, the walls hang out without you, babe. My plans still leave are changing. Feel you steady. The walls hang out without you, babe. The walls hang out without you, babe.
Thank you, Sohail, for sharing such interesting presentation and videos. Up next, we have Soumini Sridhara Paul. She's the Senior Vice President at Hungama Digital Media Entertainment, and she's going to talk about the talent and media scene. Soumini, we are eager to hear from you. Stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Poonam. Actually, before I start, I need to really acknowledge the amazing work that you're doing, Sohail. I think the 2 videos you played for us was really brilliant. And I know the amount of hard work that goes into actually putting together a festival. Just to give you a little bit of a background about what I do as part of Hungama Digital Media. We launched a property or a platform rather called Hungama Artist Allowed, which was dedicated for talent and original content. And as you know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Riane had mentioned about how Austria has been partnering with the Indian film industry. And that's always been the main focus when it comes to music. But we were one of the first players back in 2009 who decided to launch a platform which would dedicatedly look at commercializing and distributing independent content. It was something that really was very new then. There weren't many players that were doing it as it is now. But we really thought that there was a great opportunity, and the parent company, Hungama, essentially is, the core business has always been about aggregation of content, where we distribute across every possible digital touch point. So whether it's a coloring backbone or streaming platforms or video streaming platforms with artists who've got videos, as well as DTH, which is one of the most booming, I would say, formats in the Indian market. So we really had that spread, over the last 15 years. And when we launched a platform like Hungama Artist Allowed, we thought it was the first ever opportunity to take an artist who does not have to be dependent on coming only through a label. And so we started building this as a distribution offering to artists directly. But I have to tell you, it took us just 6 months to realize that just distribution will not work. And that's one of the reasons why we've gone into the extent of actually building an ecosystem around the independent space, which ranges from distribution of the content to marketing of the artist, creating social communities of our own, and then working with the artists to promote them. Along with that, we started doing literally, I think every 2 years, we added new feathers to what we could bring to the artists. Some of the stuff is pretty similar to what Sohail has done. I'll not take away the thunder, Sohail, of what you've done with the festival in Bangalore. I think it's brilliant. It's beautifully shot. But yes, we've done things like, venue programming, where we did have artists being programmed, both Indian as well as international. We also did a lot of these album tours and worked very closely with Hard Rock Cafe, which has been one of our close partners especially, and the fact that they have reach in different cities in the country, it gave us an opportunity to work with them on different IPs. So we did a format called World Music Day, which is celebrated on 21st June across the world. And that gave us the opportunity to showcase multiple genres. And, so like Poonam mentioned at the beginning, India is made up of so many different genres and so many different styles of music. And obviously, when it came to the live scene, we wouldn't want to miss the opportunity of being able to literally present that and represent that. So formats like World Music Day in partnership with Hard Rock Cafe, or even a format we did called Arise, which was for very fresh singer-songwriters and new talent who needed to find a way to get some kind of an audience, So it was a very interesting format where we partnered with the venue. For the consumers, it was, an extended happy hour. So obviously, you had an audience that you were bringing in for the booze, but then you also had talent getting the opportunity to be able to present themselves. So the live scene is something that we've kind of evolved into various our own IPs as well as with venues. One of the things that we're very, very proud of, and I really hope that that can be something that is extended for international artists who release their content in India, is what we call as the Music Awards. And I think for for the independent scene, that has completely, I think, just blown up even in the last 1.5 years, thanks to the pandemic. The only good thing that's come out of that. We really believe that the independent scene is just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not going to replace Bollywood, and I think the intention has never been that. But it definitely is going to be a parallel stream, and that's where there's an opportunity to look at global talent coming into the Indian market. And I'm very excited I'm really feeling very opportune to be able to have a platform like this to even not just talk about the business that I do, but also the opportunity that Austrian talent can really partake of what the country has to offer. We did see a lot of Korean music doing extremely well. In fact, I think up north, especially Delhi and Northeast, they have huge fan following of Korean music. And we've had a lot of talent that have come down and performed, whether it's at an NCPA or when Blue Frog was there. So it's not something that the Indian market is not ready to welcome and experience. So, just to give you a little more sense of what the talent space currently in the country is, we've started seeing a huge amount of regional growth. And to the extent that some of the regional talent are bigger than what we call as pan-India talent. And that we've seen in core buckets. Chennai, which is down south, has seen a very interesting growth of the independent scene, where hip hop and rap has taken a very interesting form. We obviously have Mumbai that has a mix of all kinds of genres. There's Delhi that has been, again, a huge base for bands, similarly for Kolkata. And the Northeast has an interesting mix. I mean, there's a joke that they say about the Northeast that every person in the Northeast can play a guitar and sing a song. So obviously, opportunities are, wide and varied. One can really not know what you can explore and exploit till you actually get to be a part of it. We ourselves feel we are only about 20 to 25% of where we can be. It is constantly work in progress, like social media communities. I don't think you can ever reach a number and say, I'm done, I don't need any more fans. So there's really a lot that can be done, and there's a lot of growth opportunity as well. As far as media is concerned, in terms of, there were the times where, yes, you had television playing a huge role in terms of creating popularity. It still does when it comes to Bollywood. Unfortunately, non-film music, or what we call as the independent music, has really not managed to get a face. A lot of dependency has been on YouTube or with artists who build their own core fan following. And here again, we've seen a mix. We've seen bands doing it beautifully. We've seen genre-based music, whether it's metal. We've seen, I've heard a metal band actually managing to pack up Blue Frog with more than 1,000 to 1,500 people, which is pretty unheard of in the non-film space. So there is potential. There's a lot of space to work on. Digital, of course, plays a huge media avenue to create popularity. But one thing that we've also, and we always keep kind of educating artists, independent artists, as well as artists who are trying to make it in the music space, you need to look at yourself as a startup. You need to look at yourself who is essentially building a brand for yourself. So I always urge every artist that I talk to that don't look at your investment limited only to your music. Look at how can you invest in yourself in the marketing, and look at players who can help you, create enough of a value for the money that you will invest in yourself. Because obviously, you need to continue your creative journey, but that creative journey does not and cannot be limited only to your music. It has to be about your presence, about your personality, about how does that come out. I personally used to work with a music channel before I, built this with Hungama, and I worked there for 4.5 years, and I can tell you for sure that after the music, the first thing that people want to know is the artist, and they want to know who the artist is. It's their story, it's their background. What is it that really makes them tick? How do you keep your music alive? Those are things that are tried and tested formulas, which works in any format, whether you are in a streaming platform or a television platform, it really doesn't matter. The other very important thing is, and this is again something I keep telling artists, is you cannot become a hit with just one song. So in a similar manner, you cannot test a new market with just one content, right? You've got to keep looking at least a 6 months to 1 year journey. And considering that, the entire world is still not back on its feet, and, we're still trying to figure out, I think definitely digital is a very, very, very good way to be able to create visibility for yourself. Some of the things that we did last year, in fact, we started a property, what we call the stay at home, stay entertained. And of course, there was a kind of a CSR messaging in that. But what was amazing was we did formats where we had a 6-hour concert of almost about 100 artists who performed back to back. And the entire thing was streamed across not just social media and our platforms, but various OTT platforms that are Hungama partners with. So the beauty of what we bring together for formats and IPs and talent is the ability to create that reach and amplification. And I think, the journey is just beginning. We all obviously want to go back to the live scene. I'm sure, like Sohail, what he showed, all of us would want to go back and see that kind of an experience. But I think we need to look at, as they always say, look at the glass half full. And I think the half full part is the digital side. So I really hope that, we have an opportunity to see a lot of international talent looking at India as a market. And that's about it. I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have during the Q&A session. But as of now, I would like to pass the baton back to Poonam. Thank you, Poonam.
Thank you, Soumini, for providing a detailed and insightful information to our audience. A gentle reminder to our listeners, please drop your questions in case you have in the chat box. Now it's time to invite our third speaker, Andre Tully. He's the founder of Nothing Regular Media and Entertainment Agency. He's going to talk about the music promotion in India. Andrea, we are looking forward to your presentation. Floor is all yours.
Namaste, everybody. Welcome from India. I'm Andre. I'm the founder and director of Nothing Regular and the Mumbai Assembly. The Mumbai Assembly is a space which we've set up to promote and support the independent industry, creative industries, for music, performing arts, and independent cinema. It's a space where we showcase smaller festivals there, artists. We do workshops, and anybody that wants to come in and explore the work in progress, it's free for them to come in and use the space. That's what we try and support. Let me take you now through the possibilities and the opportunities that you can have in promoting yourself and capacity building in India. While Poonam did speak about our population and our numbers, yes, we are big, but here's to tell you that 50% of our population is below 30. And here's where your opportunity is to grow your audience, your fan followers. Yes, popular genre of music. Bollywood and regional cinema definitely takes up the larger chunk and the revenue. Indian classical and devotional music definitely, yes, takes up this as a part of the larger picture. But interestingly, electronic independent music, mostly in English, jazz, blues, Western classical, world music, indie pop, R&B, hip hop, folk, and reggae has grown immensely in the last 10 years. As you can see, all the festivals that are programming stages are interested in these collaborations and international artists coming down. To just give you an overall picture of what happens. Our digital media market is large. It's about 30 billion US. Video streaming is about 260 million monthly active users is what we have. And we have about 1,200 independent Indian channels that stream. Digital content, yes, it's large and growing exponentially in India. Video subscriptions are at about 370 million US in 2019. Video subscriptions projected is to grow at about 833, which is about a good 60% growth. So yes, digital content and subscription streaming is growing rapidly in India from about anywhere between 25 to 50%. Digital platforms, yes, we are super aggressive and active on digital platforms, on our social media platforms. Facebook, yes, India is number one with the numbers, followed by America and Indonesia, Brazil. Instagram, yes, again, we are at the largest users of Instagram and subscribers, along with America. It's about 140 million. India has approximately 265 million active users on YouTube. And we are the largest consumers and users of YouTube, followed by US, America, Brazil, Japan, and Russia. So that's what, if you see those numbers, and you take out a 30 to 40%, percentage of these users and subscribers, which are supporting and are actually the audience of the independent music industry. There you've got your influencers. You can be anywhere between a 5K to a 10 to a 15 to a 50,000 followers, and active followers who follow you, everything that you do. They are very responsive. They will follow your stories, your post, keep commenting, and they will also repost them. So that is what makes them the influencers. I generally say that everybody today is an influencer and helps you promote your work, your projects. So yes, influencers are important. Some of the music magazines that have been growing rapidly and are super important and play a major part in the content of independent music are Rolling Stones, Wild City, Homegrown, Festival Sherpa, Lazy Indie magazine from the south of India, Music Culture. These are some of the magazines that are definitely working, and this is the content that they look for, which is independent music content and creators. I would say networking, it is really important for artists, music producers, promoters to come together at exchange programs, some of the leading exchange conferences and showcasing festivals. Yes, Years on Mumbai is what we collaborate and are happy to do with Yanni and Aussie from Years Asia, Finland, China. And the other ones are the Exchange, Collarboard Music, the Indie Music Week, Nightlife Music Awards and Conference, and ADE Mumbai are some of the regular and annual conferences and networking and showcasing festivals that happen. Please be a part of them. As Sohail was mentioning, yes, India, we depend a lot on the sponsorship marketing and brands association, followed by ticket sales and F&B revenue. So sponsors and corporates do play a big role in our projects, in our tours, in our festivals. And just to give you a small picture of how alcohol brands, lifestyle brands, automobile and FMCGs, they support the electronic, jazz, blues, hip hop, indie pop and the independent music festivals, while the banks, financial companies, real estate, tech companies, government tourism development, they support the cultural, devotional music and world music projects. So yes, we do depend on sponsorship a lot. Now, this is interesting, some of the unconventional platforms to promote music in India. While literature festivals, tattoo festivals, music plays a key and important part of these festivals. And yes, promoters like us are always looking out for and always programming independent artists. They're always between 2 to 3 days. So every day is dedicated to one genre of music or multiple genres. And yes, these are really exciting ways to promote yourself as the emerging talent or artist, or even artists that are already there. It's a great opportunity to take and come down to and participate and perform at these festivals. Another unconventional way of promoting yourself in India is the big fat Indian wedding, which is close to about $50 billion US. And we have about close to 10 to 12 million weddings held annually. So weddings and private gigs are where some of the biggest acts and alternative, classical, world music, independent artists have come and performed. And this is a great way to, to come to India, to promote yourself through these private gigs and weddings. And then there are local promoters here that definitely help you, tour around India because it falls less expensive for tickets, local tickets, travel and logistics. So yes, this is a great opportunity, and the Indian wedding and private shows are really big, and you can see the numbers there. The focus on Northeast, this is interesting, and the 7 states with a population of approximately 46 million people. This is where a lot of rock shows, a lot of bands like Nazareth, Steve Vai, Extreme, Mr. Big, Stephen Wilson, and Joe Satriani's, these bands have come and they perform at these festivals. So these are more on the genre of metal, rock, jazz, hip hop, K-pop, as Soumini was mentioning, yes, has been the headline act here. But here is a huge potential for avenues of engagement with festivals, tours, and music education. So here is an opportunity, and if you dig deep more and explore Northeast, there's a lot that it can offer you. Another project of ours and vertical of ours is, CADA Project Solutions. This is more to give you an idea and to tell you that yes, India is prepared and ready to host and welcome from the biggest act from the biggest band and team and crew to an individual solo artist. So yes, this is a very, as I would say, professional agency and team that has worked on about 90% of the Indian music festivals, tours, and have done like back-to-back tours with Skrillex, Slash. They handled the Mahendra Blues Festival, Supersonic, Sunburn, NH7 are just some of the festivals that they've the logistics that they've handled for. And yes, the winners of a gold award in hospitality and logistics in 2020 for the Joshua Tree tour Mumbai. So if you're planning to come into India, yes, it is a great opportunity where logistics, transport, hotels, everything is available and great. The hospitality of India is something that you should come down and explore and experience. Great hospitality and equipment, technical riders are all possible and available in India. We kind of handle the best of equipment. It's got the best of equipment, lighting designers, sound engineers, video graphics teams, and and a great teams to handle venue management and backstage and on stage for you. So with that, I think these are the possible opportunities that you can explore. I would like to, invite everybody and to come down to India and explore the possibilities here. Thank you, Franz, for inviting me to Waves Vienna, and the panel that we hosted on Asia that's where the start is. So I think it's more important that we look at opportunities on a very regular and basis to start, where you keep exploring and keep coming to India, and that's what then gives you your fans, your followers. Artists have come down and started at really small venues and performed there in parking lots, and come back again to like a year's conference and performed as a delegate, and then they've been actually booked for a festival like Supersonic and Sunburn for larger festivals. And yes, that's where your audience and your followers start building. So thank you everybody for this opportunity, and I look forward to answering any questions. And back to you, Poonam.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for sharing interesting facts about the music promotion. Now, it is a time for the Q&A session. May I request all the listeners, please drop your questions in the chat box. So I've already received the question from audience, and this question is for Soumini. How can Austrian talent look at building a fan following in India? Soumini.
Yeah, thanks, Poonam. So I think the first thing is obviously for the artists to have some kind of original content that they can use, to be able to present themselves both in audio and video format. We have our, social communities that we've built, which is as wide as almost, if I even include the Hangama music social media following that we have collectively over about 10 million, social followers. Along with that, we do bring in our PR agency to be able to create visibility for the artist. But more importantly, I think the artist needs to look at how can they, look at the Indian market as something which is going to, and considering it's a country that has so many languages, you're pretty much looking at a continent. It's called a subcontinent at the end of the day. So it is, you have to start to be able to first build a fan base, and then keep growing on it. And like I mentioned earlier, it has to be something planned at least for a period of 3 to 6 months. when there's an opportunity for the artist to come physically down and perform, there are avenues to look at that. But I don't think we need to be limited with the fact that we can't physically travel around. One can start even now, and digital definitely has enough of a reach to play with. So whether it's social media, whether it's the streaming platforms, whether it's live interactions, all of those are your formulas that you need to use.
Okay, thank you. And I have a question for, do Austrian musician needs visa to be able to perform in India? I think Dr. Luke can help us here.
Yes, I hope everybody can hear me. Yes, unfortunately, the visa question is a very delicate one, especially nowadays during Corona crisis. The Austrian embassy, the consulate section here in Delhi, has stopped to receive visa applications at this moment because of the Corona situation in Europe and Austria in specific. However, business visa are issued on a special request. An email has to be sent with a description what the purpose of the visit is, in your case a business visit, to the Austrian embassy consular section, and then they will consider. We, of course, from our side, from the commercial section, if you want to apply for a visa, please address yourself to the Austrian embassy, and of course then you can contact us separately, the commercial section. We will do our best to support your request, but we have no direct influence, of course, in the consular section. They have all a plethora of regulations to observe. And yeah, it's a little bit complicated to put it in a nutshell, but it's possible.
Thank you, Dr. Luke. Next question, I think it's Sohail and Andrea can help us here. The question is, how many of Indian people are listening to classical music? How is the market of CD, DVD? Is there any interesting classical concerts in India?
Andre, do you have anything?
Yes, one of the most famous places in India being the NCPA, or Theatre Performance and Music, hosts a lot of classical concerts, and that's something that we are also definitely looking forward to. Austria is known for contemporary music, classical music, and yes, there is great opportunity at these venues to where if supported by the embassies and export agencies and the government of Austria, there is an audience and there is a venue available for classical music. I think in CDs and DVDs don't really work too much in India because we kind of went from 0 to we skipped everything and went straight to 100 to downloads, and that's where most of download and streaming happens. So CDs, cassettes at one time were really big in India, and that worked when it was cassettes. But CDs and DVDs short-lived their lives in India. It went straight to streaming and download.
Thank you, Andrea. The next question is I think it's Soumini can help us here. Do you think Austrian musicians and companies from the music industry have a real chance to work with India? Where do you see the potential advantage of cooperation?
I think, it also depends on the kind of genre. When you look at, for example, electronic music, there was a time that it had a huge opportunity. Of course, we still have Sunburn that has been one of the biggest players. I think, first of all, one needs to identify what is the genre of music that you can that you do, and then look at, what, because it is so fragmented in the country. It's not like one shoe fits all, So, but having said that, the other way to look at it is there is an audience for all kinds. So, you need to identify your audience. You need to identify the markets where you believe. So, for example, anything which is largely contemporary or largely Western in its offering, you know that there are markets like your metros and your mini metros. I think some of the places that Sohail mentioned of where KRUNK actually works out of is the markets where this kind of music does work. If you're talking about largely classical musicians, then like Andre said, you do have NCPA, you do have in Bangalore, you've got the Chaudhaya Memorial, you've got in Delhi, the City Fort. And so there are places that will get attracted to the kind of music. But if you're talking about mainstream independent artists, I think the first route will be to create visibility for yourself through the streaming platforms, because people need to be familiar with the music. It's the same route that has happened for K-pop. People heard the music and then they wanted the artist to come and perform in their country. So I think that's a formula that has worked even in the television days, and you can't change that. So the artists need to first break their music here and look at building a fan base, and then have those fans get to experience them in real life.
Yeah, just to add to that, I would also say another way to sort of look at this would be collaborations between Austrian and Indian artists to create a track, to work with a label, to create a local presence, and to look at the digital avenues right now till live music comes in. And it's always better if you have a following before you go to a country, and everything just works better from there. So.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our next question. Are there already some cultural exchange program or collaboration between Austrian Embassy and India? Maybe Dr. Luke and Rian can help us here.
Well, I do know, as we are working on that ourselves, is that there is a lot of collaboration going on in the film industry. And I think, as we have heard before, there are some synergies there as well that you could use. And what's more, the office in India, in Delhi, has a focus on creative industries since this week, actually, because we have started a new program this week, which will last for another 2 years. So this might give us a great opportunity to look into the Indian music industry a bit deeper, dive into it deeper, also in collaboration with Austrian Music Export, of course. And so I am not aware of any collaborations through us, through Advantage Austria or the embassy right now, but I think we are very open to explore this and to support this. And maybe Tatiana, Franz can add something to that, because I know you have been working together with India, and maybe you have more information on what happened so far.
Well, yes, there have been, of course, a couple of tours from Austrian artists in India in the last 10 to 20 years, starting probably most famously with Bauchklang, which was a acoustic dub syndicate, and also, as Sohail mentioned, up to Manu Dilago quite recently. But there have been no real programs to support the exchange between Austria and India, but obviously we are here and happy to start something like this. As Soumini said, I think it doesn't make sense, though, to do this before a lot of artists and labels or managements have wrapped their head around the possibilities there, get their content ready, get talking to maybe a local agency, and make sure they are present both on the streaming and the social platforms. And only then we can collect the interest of several artists from a genre and maybe make a deal with a festival or an agency to bring them over and introduce the Austrian music market for further exchange projects. So it's still in early stages.
Yes, absolutely. I think.
Yeah, but I would also like to. Sorry, Andre, go ahead. I'll speak after.
Yeah, I think the important way of, we have been looking for this as the future, and it was great to have Franz over for years, where, we started seeing a future of, building this relationship between India and Austria. Rian, when we met you at Waves Vienna, the discussion was to have a trade visit, in India, which is something that Yanni and us are, building with, having a trade visit from Finland, and we definitely look forward to having a trade visit from Austria, and this helps everybody understand the music industry, the media industry, television. There's a lot going on from the OTT platforms, and it just helps trade come in here, do a visit, scout around and see what's happening here, and then build relationships from there on.
Right.
Now
Just to
let's
add.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just saying that just to add to that, I think, it really needs to be kind of an orchestrated plan, that you can look at doing, over a period of, say, like I said, 6 months to a year, because it has to be something that makes people really sit up and notice, rather than it being staggered around and just happening by chance, for really creating an impact and for the artists also to see some takeaway from that.
Thank you for all your answers. Keeping in mind the time, we are unable to address all the questions. However, we will get back with our answers to you. And with this, I would like to thank you for all your attention, and I would like to give this virtual stage back to Rian. Thank you, Rian.
Thank you very much, Poonam. And also a big thank you to our speakers of today for sharing so many great and very valuable insights with us. And also for all this practical information, how cooperations between the Austrian and the Indian music industry could work and could be successful. This was really valuable, and I think we have all learned a lot today. And also thank you very much to Poonam and to Robert for hosting this webinar and for organizing it. It was great to collaborate. And also, of course, once more to Franz and Tatiana for our very nice collaboration. I think it's already, since I've started here, so it's already 12 years. And it's always very nice to work together with you. And also a big thanks to the audience for participating and for asking questions. And yeah, as mentioned before, we will have a focus on creative industries in India until 2023. So there are a lot of opportunities to collaborate. So please feel free to contact us at any time. And as was also mentioned before, this webinar was part of a series. This was number 3, and the next one will come up at April 19th. It will again be about music export, and this time we will have a focus on the South Korean music market. And we have another webinar scheduled at the beginning of May with a focus on Brazil. So I hope you will join us again. And well, thank you very much again for your attention, and also to all the speakers and contributors. And we hope to stay in touch. Thank you very much, and see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.